Hey, Steve Yamashin here with another Chef Knives to Go quick look product review. And what we have this time is the Yamashin Aogami or Blue No. 2 Honesuki 150mm knife. So this line of knives has a hard core center cutting steel of Aogami Blue Paper No. 2 reactive high carbon steel. Heat treat is around 62 Rockwell for that core steel. It's kind of the general target. The construction is soft reactive iron cladding on either side of that hard core steel for 3 layers. And then that cladding does have a protective, what's known as a blacksmith or kudauchi or KU finish on it. And then they've also coated the entire blade in a food-safe lacquer finish for some protection. That lacquer finish will wear out, or I should say wear off over time as you use the knife, or some people do prefer to strip that off right off the bat with acetone, which you could do. But the entire blade is reactive. There's no stainless or semi-stainless on it anywhere. The weight and dimensions on these will vary just a little bit from knife to knife. This particular one is about 103 grams or 3.6 ounces. Edge length, I got around 155 on this one. The entire edge, and that's about 6 inches, a little over 6 inches. Overall length was about 290 millimeters with a handle. Spine thickness will vary, but for this particular knife coming out of the handle was about 3.3 millimeters. And then I measured it about halfway down to be about 1.7 millimeters, and it pretty much holds that. This knife has that kind of reverse sword tanto tip on it, and you can see it thins out with the grind itself, and then you can see the general shape. So this type of knife is meant to basically process poultry, so it's got a nice pointy tip. It's fairly stout. It's good for getting in between the joints and cutting the joints of poultry. It's not meant for chopping through bones or anything, but it's a good knife to get in there and get some detail work done, go through joints, get in there and clean up, meat away from the various bones and ribs and so on. So that's kind of the gist of what this knife is for. The blade height on this is about 36 millimeters, general kind of style of the blade. Handle is octagonal. It is what they call red sandalwood. You can see it's got more of a walnutty type kind of feel as far as the color. And then the ferrule is a multicolored. Most of I've seen are kind of a reddish, greenish, multicolor layered paca wood, which is a stabilized wood product. They've got a nice tight seal where the tang goes into the handle. Nice fit and finish on the handle. So you don't have a lot of clearance on this, but that's kind of the style. The handle circumference you can see here, which I measure where the two materials meet. And then balance point's not as big of an issue on this type of knife, but with the handle and the blade being a little smaller, your balance point just in front of the edge of the handle right there. Close-up look, they've got embossed or pushed in stamped kanji and logo there. And you can see the finish is pretty smooth. It's a little smoother because you do have the lacquer on it. On the left side of the blade, looks like you've got a little bit of a something embossed in there. It looks like it didn't come out with the full detail, but it's a pretty smooth. It should still be smooth even when the lacquer strips off of it. So it's a smooth finish. It's got enough rustic character to it where you know it's hammered, and it's got a lot of blacksmith character to it. It does have like a faux sandblast finish on it, and then there's your core steel peeking out from the center or from the cladding on either side. So it's a pretty stiff blade, which is typical of this style. I'd say out of the box edge I'll give them a 5 out of 10 just because the lacquer can sometimes cover the edge and interfere with it, but you can get this knife very, very sharp. So it's a straight blade. I've got 6 different knives in this line. They've all been pretty darn straight, so that's a good sign of consistency from the maker. Here's the profile. Some people do use these on the board a little bit for general utility tasks, although again it's more work on poultry processing that, but here's what the edge profile looks like. So just a good high value line of knives. Again, it's all reactive, but this would be really good for breaking down poultry, especially if you do a fair amount of that. You buy whole poultry and then break it down into its parts. So this is the Yamashin Aogami or Blue No. 2 Honesuki 150mm knife.